Insurance. We were covering how to audit different areas of financial statements. We have discussed how to audit sales, how to audit purchases, how to audit payroll, how to audit inventories, how to audit non-current assets, how we can perform audit of account receivables, mean debtors, and how we can perform audit of account payables, mean creditors. We have discussed procedures that are relating to manual system. If the client system is manual, that is called traditional system. Mean physical documents are prepared over there, and we have learned how to verify those documents. Today we will discuss if our client system is computerized. Everything is going to be prepared in the computer system through software. How we can perform it of computerized system. Because nowadays, almost everywhere, companies are preparing accounts through software. How they are preparing accounts through software, just they are entering accounting entries into the system. I mean, this is the amount of sale, this is the amount of cash or receivable. Software automatically prepare ledgers into the system. Software automatically close the ledger, checking the closing balance, and software automatically transferring the ledger figures to the trial balance, and software automatically preparing the financial statements. What companies are doing, they just clicking on a button, print financial statements, and through software, they are having print of financial statements. What companies need to do, they just need to enter accounting entries. For purchase, this is purchase amount, this is cash or payable amount. Software automatically prepare journals, they will prepare ledger, they will prepare trial balance, they will prepare financial statements automatically. So we have learned how to perform audit of manual system. Now we are going to learn how to perform audit of computerized system. The system client is using for accounting, that is called computer information system. CIS, computer information system, means if our client using automated system, software to perform its accounting. So how we can perform audit of software. So before auditing, we learned what could be the controls over the system. Because after having knowledge about controls, we will be able to perform test of control and we will be able to perform sustainability procedure. So let's discuss what could be the controls over the computerized accounting system. We are going to discuss about IT controls. If our client is using IT system to perform its accounting, what should be the controls over IT system? IT controls, CIS controls. There are two main types of IT controls. One is called general controls and other is called application or processing control. General controls mean that should be over the IT system for every type of company. If any company is using any IT system, these controls should be there. While application or processing controls, they are relating to processing of data into the system. What could be the general controls? There are two types of general controls. System development controls and organizational or administrative controls. System development controls and organizational or administrative controls. System development controls mean while developing a software, while developing any IT system in the organization, what things should be kept into mind while developing the system? How organizations should develop a system, how they should develop and implement the software in the organization. These are called system development controls. What are system development controls? Authorization, testing, documentation, implementation, review and monitoring, changes, amendments. Authorization means if company is going to install any system into the organization, its approval should be from top management. Without authorization, without approval of top management, no system should be installed, implemented into the organization. There should be concern of top level management for any system. If any system in the organization is without authorization, without approval of top management, this means that could be a fraudulent system. Top management can stop that system anytime. So the effectiveness of this system will not work. So for a system to be effective, it should be authorized, it should be approved by top management. If you are going to implement a new system into the organization, especially accounting system, its testing should be done before putting into implementation. Before recording transaction into the system, you should test the system first through dummy transactions. Like if there are any errors, if there are any bugs into the system, should be removed before putting into actual system. The system should be tested through dummy transactions. Documentation, when you are designing, implementing any system, there should be a paperwork of that system. What is software? Software is a combination of files and folders. What is software? Is a combination of files and folders. Like if you go into Windows system files, there are different folders, and in folders you will find different files. In similar way, the software is a combination of files and folders. Those files are programming language written files, and folder indicating in which folder what kind of files are there. Which functions files are there in what kind of folder. So that folder represent only a category of files. So when you are designing a system, especially the computerized system, its documentation paperwork should be there. Like which folder is relating to sales related files, which folder is relating to purchase related files, which folder is relating to income related files, which folder is relating to expenses related files, which folder is relating to asset related files. Why? So that in future, if you want to make any changes in the system, so you can identify, if suppose we want to make changes in the asset system only. This means we need to make changes in these files only rather than these files. If there is no documentation and the person who designed the software, he is not available, the new person will not be able to understand where he should make the changes. So that's why there should be documentation, paperwork, so that future changes can be done easily. When you are developing a system, there should be a control of implementation. Implementation means user training. Because if you are implementing a new system into the organization that have not been used before by the employees, so there should be user training. If users are not properly trained, system effectiveness will not be achieved. So the proper implementation means users should be trained regarding the functionality of the system. And these systems are critical, very important. Any problem in the system will create a big issue for the organization. That's why the IT system should be reviewed and monitored on regular basis whether they are working effectively or not. There should be a monitoring person like internal auditor should review IT system whether it is working effectively or not. Because if there is any problem in the system, that will create a big issue for the organization. And if you are going to make any changes or amendments in the system, those changes should also be authorized by top management. Those changes should also be tested through dummy transactions, whether they are working properly. The changes should also be documented into the main documentation of the system. Users should be trained regarding those changes, and those changes should also be review monitored whether they are working effectively. Can you understand these system development controls mean while developing a system, while designing, implementing a system, what policies should be there, what management need to consider? There should be approval from top management. There should be testing of system through dummy transactions before putting into operations. There should be documentation so that future changes can be made easily with understanding of the system. There should be user training. System should be reviewed, monitor whether it is working properly, and changes, amendments into the system should be authorized, tested, documented, user trained, and reviewed and monitored. So there are two types of IT controls, general controls and application or processing controls. General controls are of two types, system development controls. Meanwhile, developing the system, what management should need to consider. And organizational or administrative controls mean what controls administration of the organization have to put into the system to avoid misuse of the system. The system should not be misused. Unauthorized person should not be having access to the system. So what are the organization or administrative controls? Organization administrative controls are of four types. Integrity of hardware. What is meant by integrity? Honesty. Mean there should be honest usage of hardware. No unauthorized person should having access to the hardware. Otherwise, they will steal the hardware. They will misuse the hardware. There should be integrity of software. Even software should have a honest usage so that fraudulent transactions cannot be happen into the system. There should be segregation of duty, mean there should be separate person for system design, system usage, and system implementation. And there should be some controls relating to continuity of operations. Mean system operations should be continued. System should not stop recording the transactions. Otherwise, you will not be having complete financial statements. So what are the controls relating to integrity of hardware? Relating to integrity of hardware, there should be two types of control, physical control and logical controls. What are the physical controls? There should be CCTV cameras through which you can identify any unauthorized access to the system, any stealing of parts of the system hardware. There should be lock rooms so that nobody can access the system without office working hours. There should be security guards who should ensure only authorized users are entering into the system room. There should be some offenses through which you can access unauthorized user access. And there should be some logical controls. What are the logical controls? There should be system logs. What is system log? System log is a file that record all the working relating to the system. Mean at what date, time, who access the system through which ID, that should be recorded into the system. At what date, time, there should be any amendments in the system. What kind of those amendments, either addition of any data, either deletion of any data, either entering of any data, all the working on the system will be recorded into a file that is called system logs. And through this, you can identify at what date, time, who accessed the system and what he did. Through this, you can avoid misuse of hardware. There should be password so that without password, nobody having access to the system. There should be working hours so that without office working hours, nobody accessing the system. And integrity of software means honest usage of software, and for that, there should be restricted login ID that is associated to employees relating to their work. Through login ID, you can define boundaries like inventory department can access the system through their login ID, and they will be having access of inventory data only, not the payroll data, not the asset rated data. Only personnel department, HR department will be having access to payroll data through their login ID. Through this, you can avoid misuse of software, so that only authorized user having access to data that are relating to them. There should be segregation of duty, means separate staff for system design, system usage, and system changes. If one department is having all the authority, they can design the system, they can use the system, they can make changes into the system, they can make big fraud for the organization, because they will change the design of the system anytime according to their need. So system design should be separate department like IT department, and usage should be accounting department. Accountants should use the system, should enter entries into the system. They will not be having access of designing or making changes into the system. There should be controls relating to continuity of operation, so that system operations can be continued. And for that, there should be backups, so that if there is any issue with the system, files are corrupted or hacked, you can recover files from backups and continue your operations. There should be antivirus, so that if any virus entering into the system and affecting system files, that can be prevented and detected. There should be firewalls. What is the difference between antivirus and firewalls? Antivirus is just a software that detect the virus and inform you. If you say delete it, they will delete it. Firewalls are hardwares as well as software. There are some hardware devices that organization use for security purpose along with computer system. They attach those hardware devices with their system, that are more stronger security measures as compared to antivirus. For continuity of operation, there should be insurance arrangement. Like the organization system are very costly. If it is destroyed by flood, fire, anything, so you can recover that cost through insurance and implement the system and run your operations. If there is no insurance, might be you are not having cash to buy a new system in case of system is destroyed by fire or flood. So there should be insurance arrangement. There should be arrangement with other organization as well. Other organization could be you are having a AMC, annual maintenance contract with some IT firms. On a monthly basis, they will come and check your system. If there is any issue, they will have to resolve it. That is called annual maintenance contract. If you don't have permanent IT department, or you can make arrangement with the other organization. Other organization mean your competitors who are using similar software as you are using. You should have arrangement with them, like if I am having any issue with my system, I will use your system for recording my transaction, and if you are having any issue in your system, you can use my system for recording your transaction, so that in case of disaster we can continue our transactions. Mean these are all called disaster recovery procedures. In case of disaster, how you can manage your system, how you can manage continuity of operation of your organization system. So there are two types of IT controls, general controls and application or processing controls. General controls are of two types, system development controls, mean while developing, while designing, implementing the system, what the things need to be considered by management. There should be authorization, there should be testing, there should be documentation, there should be implementation, mean user training, there should be review and monitoring, and changes, amendments should be authorized, tested, documented, user trained, and review monitored. And what are the organizational or administrative controls that organization administration have to make sure they should be there to avoid misuse of hardware and software, that are integrity of software like physical controls, logical controls, integrity of software like strictly login ID. There should be separate person, separate department for system design, system usage, and system changes. And for continuity of operation, to avoid any disaster, there should be backups. There should be antivirus firewalls. There should be insurance arrangements, and arrangements mean contract with other organization like ANC, annual maintenance contract with IT firms to monitor your system, or should be having a contract with other organization who are using similar system of you. Now we are moving towards application or processing controls. Mean what could be the controls over processing of data? You are entering transactions, how it should be processed completely accurately. Because if those transactions are not processed completely accurately, you will not be having complete accurate output. So what happens? We enter input into the system. System process that input and provide us output. In a system process the input and provide output. Like input, we are entering what? Transactions. If those transactions have been entered incomplete, can you get complete financial statements? No. If those inputs are entered wrong with some typing error or with some human errors, can you get accurate financial statements? No. If those inputs have been done through fraudulent activities by unauthorized persons, can you get true and fair financial statements? No. This means there should be control over input of data. That data inputted into the system should be through authorized persons, should be completely entered, and should be accurately entered, because processing will be done according to the input. What you are going to input into the system, processing will be done accordingly that. If unauthorized person putting any fraudulent data into the system, processing will be done accordingly. If while entering the figures into the system, the figure was 800, you have entered 8,000. This is the issue of input rather than processing. If there were 5 sheets to enter the data into the system, you entered 4 and forgot to enter the 5th sheet. This is the issue of input, because processing will be done according to input. This means relating to application or processing control, there are two types of control. One is relating to input of data controls, and other is master file control. What is master file? We will discuss later. What should be the controls relating to input of data? There are 3 types of controls relating to input of data. That data inputted into the system should be through authorized persons. Data inputted into the system should be complete, And the data we are going to input into the system should be accurate. Mean before accepting and processing the data, system should ensure whether the data is inputted by authorized person or not. How system can ensure whether authorized person is entering the data? This is a login. Here should be login. Without login, obviously, unauthorized user cannot enter. There should be password. Through password, system can accept the data, but password can be misused, can be stolen. Then there should be two-factor authentication, like there should be what? Retina recognition, mean face ID. There should be thumb impression. So this system can identify the authorized user. You know? But for retina recognition, thumb impression, devices are expensive. Even with the old system, if you see, there is no retina recognition or thumb impression. It's available in the most advanced system. So there should be dialogue between computer and the user. Like computer should ask, what is your mother maiden name? Security questions. What is your favorite place in the world? What is your date of birth? Not date of birth, because everybody knows about your date of birth. What is your favorite place? What is your mother maiden name? I mean, there should be some security questions that a system should ask while checking this user is authorized user or not. And then system should accept the data to avoid fraudulent entry into the system. If there are no password, obviously there will be no dialogue. I mean, anybody can access the system. So anybody can enter fraudulent transaction into the system, especially employees. They can enter their wrong hours. If they are entering wrong hours, they will be having more pay. That will be a problem for the organization. An organization is paying for the work that has not been done for the organization. At input of data stage, there should be authorization control. Like system should accept the data through password. Not only password, system should create a dialogue with the user to identify whether it is authorized user or not. The data entered into the system should be complete. How we can ensure complete data is going to be entered into the system? How data is entered into the system? From where data entry operator are getting data? They are having data on the sheets. Through sheets, by seeing the sheets data, they are entering into the system. It's not in their mind, oh, they are thinking, okay, that data, okay, enter it. No, data is on the sheets. And if they are entering the data from sheets into the system, suppose they are having a 10 sheets. The combination of that 10 sheets is called batch. Those batch sheets should be pre-numbered. Like if there is a batch of 10 sheets, they should be pre-numbered 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, 4 of 10, 5 of 10, 6 of 10, 7 of 10. Through this, they can identify any missing data entered into the system. Through this, they can avoid entry of duplicated data into the system. And after entry, each sheet should be signed. Because through sign, they will be identifying, okay, this sheet has been entered into the system. And if there is no sign or any sheet, this means this is a remaining to be yes. Through this, they can ensure completeness of data. If those sheets are not pre-numbered, they are not assigning after entry, they could miss some of the sheets to enter into the data, and they might enter the sheet twice into the system. So the sheets batch, the batch of sheets, all the sheet in the batch should be pre-numbered and should be signed after entering into the data. So the data we are going to enter into the system mean input of data must having controls of authorization. Means system should identify the authorized user and then accept the data and process it. And the system should ensure whether the data entering into the system is complete or not. How? The batch sheet should be pre-numbered and should be signed after entry. Now we are moving towards how we can ensure the data entered into the system is accurate. The data entered into the system is accurate. There is no typing error. There is no human error. For accuracy, there should be two type of checks. One is called verification check and other is called validation checks. Verification checks are there to identify typing errors. Like data entry operator are entering the system by typing quickly. Sometimes they are looking at the TV screen and they are entering data. They are talking with others and entering data. So there could be typing errors. And if wrong data once entered into the system and processed, it will be very difficult to trace that wrong data and correct it. Especially if you are entering a sensitive type of data into the system. How typing error can be avoided? Despite data entry operator are very much trained, they are entering amounts. Is there any spell check for amounts? Like debit and credit should be equal. The same data should be entered into the system twice by two different operators. The system should compare both data. If both are same, system should accept one and process it. If they are not same, system should reject both and ask the data entry operator to enter data again. Because if same data is entered into the system twice by a single operator, he might make same mistake again. But two different data entry operator will not be making same mistake. It will create some cost of another person. But if you are going to enter very sensitive data into the system, you need to bear this cost. If you are not bearing this cost, if wrong data has been entered into the system and processed, you will face so much high consequences of that. So how to avoid a typing error, especially in the sensitive case data? The same data should be entered into the system by two different operators. System should compare both data. If they are same, accept any one and process it. If they are not same, ask the user to re-enter them because there is typing error. Okay. There should be some validation checks while entering data into the system, and these are very important. The technical area. The data entered into the system should be valid. Valid mean correct, accurate, not invalid mean wrong or fraudulent. And there should be some validation checks while entering data into the system at input stage. Check digit verification, existence check, format check, range or limit check, and batch or hash truth. Check digit verification, existence check, format check, range check, batch or hash truth. What is check digit verification? Suppose we are a company who sell these markers. The physical student can see the marker I am having the board marker in my hand. Suppose we sell this marker. If we are selling this marker, the marker are of different companies, the marker are of different colors as well. How we record the accounting entry into the system? While selling this marker, we scan this barcode of the marker through a scanner. And this barcode is against what inventory type is already defined into the system. System will identify this barcode inventory name, its a type, and will process the transaction automatically. We are just entering the barcode. Suppose we are going to enter the employees' working hours into the system. If we are having 1,000 employees, might be there are some employees who are having similar name. How we enter? We enter employee number and hours worked. Through number, system will identify, okay, this employee is that who's having this name and this father name, and they will process payroll of that employee automatically. Suppose we are entering employee number. Employee is having a number 12347. We entered 12374. Or we entered 123347. I mean, this was the correct code that we need to enter into the system while entering data. These are the wrong codes. If we have changed the position of the code numbers, that will be called a transpositional error. And if we have entered a wrong code, that will be called a transcriptional error. Meanwhile, entering data into the system, there could be transcriptional, transpositional error into the data. And to identify this transcriptional, transpositional error into the data, there should be check digit verification control at input of data stage that will identify any transcriptional, transpositional error into the data and will reject them. Mean the data entered into the system should be valid, mean accurate. And at input of data stage, there should be some validation controls. If any data going to enter into the system is having transcriptional or transpositional error, that should be rejected through what controls? Check digit verification, CDV. How they check? They perform some mathematical formulas, relationships to identify transcription, transpositional error. If we are assigning any code to our employees or any code to the inventory, company will never ever design these code in sequence. Like if this employee is having a code 12347, the next employee might be having a code of 12597. The next employee code could be 12079. Mean they don't design codes in a sequence. Otherwise, obviously, will not be identified. And while designing code, the first digit, this digit, is our departmental associated code. And this is the identification of employee or inventory. So what a check digit verification do? They perform some mathematical relationship over the code and they identify if it is accurate, will accept and enter into the system. If it is having any transcriptional or transpositional error, that data should be rejected by the system. in how we can verify accuracy of data, how we can check the data going to enter into the system is valid. So there should be a, a check digit verification who will identify transcriptional, transpositional error into the data. At input of data stage, there should be existence check, like we have entered this code into the system. If this code is relating to any employee already defined into the system should accept and process it. If this code is not associated to any employee, whether system should accept it or reject it, system will reject it because this code is not existing into the system. How system should reject? Through existence check. At input of data stage, there should be some format check controls. What is format check controls? While entering data into the system, we need to enter different format of data into different fields. Like if we look at name, name is always having a alphabetic format data. If we are entering a phone number should always be having numeric format data. If we are going to enter address of any employee or customer, it should always be alphanumeric. No address in the world is just number or just alphabets. And if while entering name of any employee or customer, we have entered any number in the name, is that data is accurate or wrong? Wrong. System should reject it through what? Format checker controls. Because the names are always alphabets. Bond 007 is a filmy name, not a reality name. And if we are entering phone number of any employee or especially customer to whom we need to make delivery, it should be numeric data. If there is any alphabets wrongly entered into the phone number, system should not accept it. Otherwise, company will be having a trouble to contact the customer or employee. In address field, the data entered should be alphanumeric. If it is only alphabetic, only numeric, obviously this is not a real address. Company will face problem while delivering to the customer. So it should be alphanumeric. If it is not alphanumeric, system should reject it. Through what control? Format checker controls. We are discussing about IT controls. Meanwhile, inputted data, the data going to be input into the system. How system should check whether it is valid, accurate or not. There should be check digit verification control, who can identify transpositional, transcription error in the data and reject it. There should be existence check control, who should identify non-existence data into the system and reject it. There should be format checker controls, who will check whether the data input is of correct format or not. If it is of wrong format, system should reject it. At input of data stage, there should be range check or limit check controls as well. What is this range or limit check controls? How it works? Let's discuss. Suppose companies having a policy that employees can work maximum 50 hours in a week. And at the end of a week, all employees' hours worked has been entered into the system. This is a company policy. This means the employee hours worked for a week should be below 50 or maximum up to 50. If any person going to enter 56 hours into the system, whether system should accept it or reject it. If company is having a policy, reject it. Through what controls? Range or limit check controls. If company is having a policy, employee can work 50 hours. This means this 56 hours might be any unauthorized excess of employee who is entering his more hours into the system so that he can get more pay. Might be this is fraudulent entry into the system. Companies having a policy like every year we will increase wage rate by 10%. Suppose an employee wage rate is 100. How much should be the next wage rate? 110. If any employee entering suppose 120 or 112, should system accept it? No, they will reject it through what controls? Range or limit check controls. Is that fine? Suppose company is selling rackets, table tennis racket, badminton racket, squash racket, and customer order rackets through company website, and they are putting quantity of rackets into our field. How many rackets customer can buy? A normal customer will buy how many rackets maximum? He will buy one, two, or if he want to play double, he will maximum buy four. Suppose a customer want to buy four rackets, and while making order, he pressed the four twice. 44 racket order has been accepted by the system. What company will do? They will deliver 44 rackets. They will make arrangement of 44 rackets delivery. They deliver to the customer. Customer will be surprised. Oh no, I made the order of four rackets only. What company need to do? They will get back those 40 rackets again. Mean company have to bear the 44 rackets delivery cost, not only single, double. Who is on the loss? Company. Why it happens? Because at the input of data stage, there wasn't any range or limit checker control. There should be a control like if any customer is placing order more than four, system should reconfirm it. Are you sure want to place order for 44 rackets? Our system should recheck it through limit or range check so that only up to a limit or range data should be entered into the system and accepted and processed. So at input of data stage, to avoid invalid data into the system, there should be some controls. What controls should be there? There should be check digit verification control, who will identify transcriptional transpositional error in the data and reject it. There should be existence check control, who will identify only existing data, defined data into the system should be accepted, unexisted, undefined should be rejected. There should be format check control, who will make sure the correct format data is going to be entered into a particular field and wrong formatted should be rejected. And there should be range or limit checker controls, who will identify the data is entered into the system is according to the range and limits. And if there is any data beyond that range or limit should be rejected. At input of data stage, there should be batch or hash total control. What is this batch or hash total control? Hash mean this is hash sign, which is used for number as well. We have experienced while filling a form online. If there are 10 different fields where we need to enter our personal data, if we missed any of the field and clicked on processed, system is not going next or processing it. They are highlighting, please enter this data first. Because the data you have entered is invalid. Invalid means incomplete. How system is stopping you to move forward through this hash or bash total control. I mean, until all the number of fields data required is not entered into the system, system should not accept the data and process it. How system should reject the missing field data through batch or hash total control. Otherwise, might be system is accepting missing field data. If fields are missing, you will be not having complete data, means you will not be able to process it accurately. So at input of data stage, there should be three types of control. First, system should make sure only the authorized user is going to enter data into the system. If a user is authorized, system should accept the data and process it. If user is not authorized, system should not accept and process, because that data could be fraud. At input of data stage, system should see whether the data inputting into the system is complete or not. And this is relating to the persons. The batch sheet should be pre-numbered, and after entry, each sheet should be signed by the data interpreter to avoid entry of duplication data and to highlight missing data. At input of data stage, there should be controls relating to accuracy of data. To avoid typing error, there should be verification check. Mean data should be entered twice into the system by two different operators, and system should compare both data. If the same, should accept one and process it, otherwise should reject it. And there should be some validation checks. These are important and technical. What are the validation checks? Validation mean accurate data. There should be check digit verification, who should identify transcriptional transpositional error into the data and reject it. There should be existence check, who should identify only the defined and existing data into the system should be accepted. There should be format check, who should identify correct format data should be accepted and wrong formatted should be rejected. There should be range or limit check, who will check the data is according to range limit and accept it. If it is out of range limit, should reject it. And there should be batch or hash total, who should ensure the data of all field has been entered and should accept it, otherwise reject it. These IT controls you will also learn in SBL paper as well, because I teach SBL as well. So I teach similar in SBL as well. So learn carefully, because you will be using these IT controls in other papers as well. So IT controls are of two types: general controls and application or processing controls. General means that should be over the IT system of all type of organization. Why? To avoid misuse of hardware software mainly. And general controls are of two types: system development controls. Meanwhile, developing, while designing system, what need to be considered. There should be approval, there should be testing, there should be paperwork, there should be user training, there should be review monitoring, and there should be amendments, changes, approved, tested. Mainly general controls are organizational or administrative controls. To avoid misuse of hardware, there should be physical controls like CCTV cameras, lock rooms, securities, fences. And there should be logical controls to identify unauthorized access to the system through system logs file. System should be accessed through a password, and system should be accessed in working hours only. There should be integrity of software, means software should be used honestly, and for that purpose there should be a strict login ID, so that every person must accessing the data relating to his department, his limits only. They will not be having access to data of other departments, otherwise they could make fraud. There should be segregation of duty, means separate staff, separate department for system design, system usage, system entry, and system changes. Otherwise, staff can make changes system are according to their need, wishes, and they can make fraud. And the system should continually be operated, should continually recording the transaction, and to avoid any disaster, there should be disaster recovery procedures. What are those? There should be antivirus, there should be firewalls, there should be backups, and these backups should be off-site. Nowadays, in the industry, there are so many companies are having a problem. What's the problem? A hacker send an email to company system to any of employee of the company, and company system is having antivirus installed at the time. The antivirus detected this is affected file, this is affected email, warn the employee and ask the employee, do you still want to open this? Employee say yes, and while the employee open that email, by opening that email file, hackers are having access to the all files of the system. And what they are doing, they are encrypting all the files folders of the system, inputting password on all file folders silently at night. And the very next day, when employees are coming into the organization, opening their system, whatever file folder they are going to open, please enter password. Mean they are not able to do anything. They are not having access to their data. And they don't have backups. Everything into the system. Customer detail, employee detail, even customer payment, credit, debit card details. The hackers have encrypted all the data. And there is nobody in the world who can return back you this data except that hacker. There is no solution to it. They are contacting different IT companies, please recover our data. IT companies say we cannot do anything without having a password of files folders. They are approaching cyber crime. Our data has been hacked, encrypted. Please do something. Cybercrime says how we can do anything. Please provide us the information about the hacker. We can do anything. If we don't have any information about the hacker, who is there, where he is sitting, might be he is sitting in California. What we can do nothing. And after 3-4 days, they are receiving again email from the hackers. Do you want to get your data back? Company says, oh yes, please. Okay, we will charge you. Okay, please, what we will charge? We will charge you this dollar per KB. How much data you want to keep? Because this data is not KBs in M, not in MBs, not in GBs, in TBs. And there is no solution to it. Either you have to make some arrangement with the hackers, negotiate the rate, negotiate the amount, and you can recover. Otherwise, there is no recovery. That's why at every day end, you must take backups of or your data, and that backup should not be connected to your system. That backup should be off-site location. Off-site means any of the authorized person should be taking those backup hardware to his home, and tomorrow morning while coming to the office he is coming with that backup hard disk, so that if these kind of things happen, you can recover from your files. If those backups are not off-site, they are on-site, even those backups could be destroyed through fires, floods, etc. Those backups can be stolen by any of the employees. So that's why for disaster recovery, you should have backups, and those backups should be from off-site location. There should be antivirus, firewalls, there should be insurance arrangements, and there should be arrangements with other organizations for IT companies for maintenance and for other competitor who are using similar system of you. So IT controls are of two types: general controls and application or processing controls. There are two types of general controls: system development controls and organization administrative controls. Application or processing controls are of two types: input of data control and master file control. What is master file? We have discussed somewhere. There are two types of files into the system. One is called data file and other is called master file. Data file is used to enter transaction into the system, through which we enter data into the system. Is that also called current? Where all the ledgers are prepared, where all the financial statements are prepared, that is into the master file. I mean, this is called permanent file, where every processing going to be happen. All the receivable ledgers where they are in master file. We just enter employee number and his hours worked through data files. And this number of what employee his file, his ledger is in master file, where his payroll is prepared in master file. What is the rate per hour of employee, that is always available in master file. In the main accounting records are in master file. We are selling an inventory. We are just scanning the barcode and entering the quantity sold through data file. What is the price of that inventory? What is the retail of that inventory? Where is the inventory ledger? That is in master file. Which file is important, data or master file? Master file, obviously, where all the ledger, where all the company records are there. So this master file should have very strong controls. If there is any problem with your master file, you'll be losing all. This is called standing data, mean permanent data. So what could be the control over standing, mean permanent data or master file? Authorization mean only top management should be having access to the master file. Lower level employees should not be having access to master file. Otherwise, they can make changes, fraudulent changes, and create issues for the organization. Lower level employee just authorized to enter data. If you want to create a new customer account, new supplier account, new employee account, want to delete the left employee account, the supplier account, delete any customer account, you want to increase credit limit of customer, you want to change his prices of inventory, who should be authorized? Top management mean directors or managers, not low level employees. Otherwise, there will be big issues. Master file documentation should be there, mean there should be paperwork of master file. When and who made the changes to master file, it should be documented so that for next changes, you are aware when we made the previous changes and who made the previous changes and what kind of changes. Because this is highly sensitive data of the organization. There should be password. Without password, master file access should not be happening. And those passwords should be unique, not easily guessable, and should be changed after a period. So that if somebody have stolen the password, having access to the master file, so master file should ask the user after week, after 15 days, please change your password. So that any fraudulent activity must not be happen for longer time period. After change of password, automatically that stolen password activities will be stopped. So password should be unique, not easily guessable, and should be changed after a certain period of time. There should be check on amendments, mean changes. The changes we are making into the master file are very important. If we have changed the price of any product, this means next all transactions should be processed through new price. If in a hurry we change the price, but that has not been saved into the system, so there could be problem for the organization. So that's why while making changes, We should make sure that changes have been properly saved by taking printouts. Because the changes in master file are very important. So you need to make sure, you need to perform some checks. There should be system log as well. Who is recording all the changes of master file, who made the change, when made the change, what kind of change. System log is a file who record all the activities of the system. System log. What's documentation? Documentation. Documentation means paperwork. Who made the changes, when made the changes, that should be documented. So that for next changes, you can make sure when previous changes were happen and what were the previous changes, especially relating to customer credit uh, limit change, especially relating to employees rate change. Also type of log. That also a type of log or paper file. Okay. I mean, if anybody is accessing master file, for what purpose, he should put entry into the register so that we can compare log system log with this paper file. And this master file is very important that need to be updated on regular basis. So there should be a periodic mean regular review of the master file to see whether it is working effectively or not. Because if it is not working effectively, there are any problem in master file, those problems are of organization. Organization have to bear them. So what are the master file controls? Only top management should be authorized to having access. All changes should be documented. Without password, there should be no access to the master file, and password should be changed after a certain period of time. And amendments changes should be having a check to make sure they have been properly gone into the system. And there should be a regular review monitoring of the master file to see whether it is working effectively or not. So these are the IT controls. There are two types of IT controls: general controls and application or processing controls. General controls that should be over the IT system in all type of organization. While application or processing control, these are relating to accounting system. Meanwhile, inputting data, we should make authorized user entering the data. We should make sure data is going to be entered complete, and we should make sure data is going to be entered accurate. And for accuracy, there are some validation controls. Check digit verification, existence check, format check, range or limit check, and batch or hash total. What are the master file controls? Authorization of top management, documentation of changes, entry through password, checks on amendments, and periodic mean regular basis review. I know these are boring. Let's take a break. After break, we will discuss how we can perform audit of IT system, how we can perform test of control, how we can perform substantive procedure. So take a break, please. Thank you for your patience. You have to bear me for 1.5 hours more. Okay, we're discussing how to perform audit of computerized system. What should be the controls over computerized system, or what are the normal controls over computerized system we have discussed. Now we are moving towards how we can perform audit of computerized system. Let's discuss. There are two approaches of auditing computerized system. One is called auditing around the computer, and other is called auditing through the computer. Auditing around the computer and auditing through the computer. We have discussed, we entered input into the system, system process that input and provide us output. Input means we are entering accounting transactions, and through master file system is processing those transactions and providing us output mean financial statements. What is auditing around the computer? We are just checking the input and output, not the processing. In fact, we are just checking input. We are just making sure the input is entered through authorized user is complete and accurate. We are making reliance on the processing control. This means system is producing correct output around the computer. Mean we are not performing procedures on the processing. Why? We're gonna discuss later on. We are just checking input and output, mainly input. What is auditing through the computer? We are checking input, output, as well as processing. There are two types of software that company uses. One type of software is called bespoke, tailored made, customized, also called custom built. Other kind of software is called the generic, mean general, off the shelf, which is there are some software that are readily made available in the market that you can just buy through a CD, install in your computer and use it, like Microsoft Excel, Peachtree, Tally. They are already ready-made available in the market. You just need to buy in a CD, install in your system, just paid the fee and you can use it. Those are called generic off the shelf or packages. General off the shelf mean you have just take it from the shelf and use it. Some organization develop software according to their organization need and requirement. Where you are developing that software from any software house, especially according to your need requirements. Those are called bespoke, tailor-made, customized, or custom. There are some pros and cons of both kind of software. These generic off-the-shelf packages, these are designed by any organization like Microsoft, and they are making their updates as well. What is the purpose of updates? If there is any issue in update, they are resolving those issues. This means their controls are strong. They are tried and tested. And there is no training required for staff because staff are familiar with these things. Either they have learned in their studies or in their previous experience. Their controls are strong, mean they are more reliable. But there is a problem. What's the problem? They might be not covering all the requirements of the organization. And there is no competitive advantage because others are also using the same software. These bespoke, tailor-made, customized, when you develop them, they are having weak controls. There could be some problem, there could be some bugs that will be rectified after 6 to 1 year usage of the software. Because until you use them, you will not highlighting the issues. You are highlighting the issues, then requesting the software house, they are removing those issues. So there could be weak controls. They are not tried and tested. You will try, test, and then you will find the problems and upgrade them. And these are software specific to the requirement of the organization. These are new type of software that staff haven't seen before. So you need training of staff as well. But they are specific to the organization. They are meeting all the requirements of the organization. But from audit point of view, these are a little bit unreliable because their controls are weak. Because they are not tried and tested. Might be company has developed this software from a local software house whose credibility is lower than Microsoft. If our client is using bespoke, tailor-made, customized software whose controls are normally weak, this means we need to check the processing controls as well. And if we want to check the processing controls, we will move towards auditing through the computer. And if our client is using generic off-the-shelf packages whose whose controls are strong, who is tried and tested, more reliable, we can move towards auditing around the computer. So where we perform auditing around the computer, where we perform auditing through the computer. Auditing around the computer, we will perform where client is using tried and tested off-the-shelf packages. Because in this we are using, there is a direct relationship between input and output. Mean if we enter correct input, output will be correct because processing controls are strong. Means system is generating an audit trail, means system is updated and they are making all the documents, means sequence of documents. Where we use auditing through the computer, where system is not reliable, mean there is a loss of audit trail, mean might be there are some issues in the system not generating all the documents. The system is proprietary based, mean bespoke, tailor made, and there is an indirect relationship between input and output. Mean might be we are entering correct input and getting incorrect output due to incorrect processing because system controls are weak. So where we can perform auditing through the computer, where we can perform auditing around the computer, we have discussed. Auditing around the computer, for that, we need to perform manual procedures on input of data only. Auditing through the computer, we will use computerized auditing, and that computerized auditing will be called CATS. In how we can perform auditing through the computer using the CATS. CATS stands for Computer Assisted Audit Techniques. Computer Assisted Audit Techniques. And there are two main types of CATS. One is called test data and other is called audit software. There are two main types of CATs, computer assisted audit techniques, mean how we can conduct audit using CATs. There are two main types of CATs, test data and audit software. Test data is mainly used for test of control. In performing test of control, test data technique is used. While audit software is used for mainly substantive procedure. Mean with the test data, we cannot perform substantive procedure. We can only test that. There are two main types of CATs. Mean how we can perform computerized audit using CATs, computer assisted audit techniques. What are the computer assisted audit techniques? There are so many, but main are test data and audit software. What is test data? Used for test of control. How we can perform audit using the test data, how we can test control of the system. What we will do. So this is used to test the effective design and operation of program. Through this, we are checking design and operation of the software, particularly controls in the program used for test of control. How we can perform test of control using test data. We enter some dummy transactions into the system. We enter some dummy valid mean correct transactions and dummy invalid mean wrong transaction into the system. Like through this, mainly we are checking input of data controls. How? We ourselves made some wrong data that we entered into the system to make sure system is rejecting that or not. We ourselves prepare some transcriptive transposed code and we'll try to enter into the system to make sure system rejecting through check digit verification control or not. We are trying to enter some non-existence data into the system and we are making sure system rejecting through existence check control or not. We are entering some wrong formatted data into the system to make sure system rejecting through format check control or not. We are entering some out of range, out of limit data into the system and to make sure system rejecting through range or limit controls or not. As well as we are entering some valid code into the system and checking system correctly accepting and processing and providing output against that. In how we can perform test of control using test data, we perform some dummy transaction data that is valid, mean correct and wrong into the system and making sure system rejecting invalid data. How system rejecting? Through those validation checks and system accepting valid data and processing it. So the program should recognize valid data and completely accurately process it according to the program specification. And it should recognize invalid data and reject it. And what could be the result of valid mean correct data that we have already predetermined? Mean this could be the output against valid data. And against valid data, what system is providing the solution, we will compare with our predetermined solution. And if that is similar to our predetermined solution, this means system processing controls are also accurate. Not only we are checking input of data controls, we are checking processing inside the system controls as well. How we are checking input of data controls? Through invalid data. Mean entering transcripted transpose code, entering non-existence code, entering wrong format codes, entering out of range data, and checking system rejecting it or not. And then we are entering correct data. And we know what could be the result of this correct data. And checking what results of correct data system is producing. We are comparing system results with our own predetermined results. Through this, we will be able to identify whether processing controls are accurate. This is called test data, used to check the effective design and operation of the system, particularly controls being used for test of control. How we can perform test data? By entering dummy valid and invalid transaction into the system to make sure the valid transaction system accepting and processing, and invalid rejecting through validation controls. Let's discuss our question. Question 31. In a sales system, in a sale order processing system, input include sale order containing customer reference number, stock item reference number, and quantities order. Mean three things we are entering into the system: customer number, inventory number, mean barcode, and quantity that we are selling, either 5, 10, something. The program should check credit worthiness of the customer by entering the customer number. System will check credit worthiness through master file in credit limit, stock availability through master file PIR, and perform validation check on data input. The stock file and master customer file are updated. The order price and dispatch note and invoices produced. Control report, rejection listing management information report, the stock out, reorder level reached, or overdue data listing are produced. Forget about it. So we are entering data into the system. What we are entering: customer number, inventory code, and quantity. And system need to check customer creditworthiness as well as stock availability. State the content of test data, also called test pack, which could be used to test the effective design and operation of the sale order processing system and indicate the control being tested. I mean, you need to state what you will enter into the system to check its test of control, and you need to indicate what controls you are testing. So we will enter valid customer code and inventory code to ensure system accurately accepting and processing it. And we will compare the output with our predetermined output to make sure processing is done accurately. We will enter some invalid data into the system, but we will enter some transcripted transposed inventory code and customer code to make sure system rejecting through check digit verification. We will enter some non-existence customer code into the system to make sure system rejecting through existence check. We will enter some wrong formatted customer and inventory code to make sure system rejecting through format check. We will enter some out of range, out of limit customer codes and inventory codes to make your system rejecting it. We will enter an order of customer above their credit limit and make your system rejecting the order. We will enter an order of inventory over stock limit. We will check how many units of this inventory are in the company record. Suppose 100 units. So we will make an order of 110 units. Over stock limit to make your system rejecting the order. Relating to this question, we need to make sure we need to enter some order relating to this and this as well. So this is the answer that we can write. In what you will enter into the system to check test of control. You will first enter correct customer code, correct inventory code, according to customer creditworthiness, according to stock availability, and make your system correctly accepting and processing it. We will compare the system results with our predetermined results. Then we will enter some invalid data. What is invalid data? We will enter some order above a customer creditworthiness to make your system rejecting it. We will enter some order above stock available to make your system rejecting it. We will enter some transcripted transposed customer code and inventory code to make your system rejecting through check digit verification. We will enter some non-existence customer code, inventory code, and to make your system rejecting through existence check. We will enter some wrong formatted customer codes, inventory code to make your system rejecting through format check. And we will enter some out of range, out of limit customer code, inventory code to make your system rejecting through limit check. Can we write down for 6 marks? Is that fine? Is that fine? Let's move on. There are two main types of CATs. One is a test data, other is audit software. What is test data? How it works? We have discussed, even we have practiced a question. What is audit software? What is an antivirus? What is antivirus? Is a software. Antivirus is a software that we run into our system, and that software check every file and folder that are in our system. And if there is any issue in any file or folder, this antivirus software will highlight that. And if we press remove, they remove that issue from the system. Antivirus are some kind of artificial intelligence program. It's a robotic system, artificial intelligence program that check every file folder in our system. And if there is any bug, any issue, they will highlight. And if we send a command, remove it, they remove it. Audit software are also like artificial intelligence robotic programs that we need to develop from a software house. And we run this audit software into client accounting system. And they perform procedures on client accounting system and will highlight the issues. Like if against any order, there is no dispatch note, there is no invoices, there is no entry, they will highlight. If against any entry in the ledgers, there is no corresponding invoice, there is no dispatch note, there is no order, or there is no cash receivable recorded, they will highlight. Mean they perform substantive procedure into the system. What are they? They are artificial programs that we run into the client system and they perform audit procedures on behalf of us. Through this, we can trace different documents like in sale purchase system. Through this, we can verify correct rate, correct hours in payroll system. Through this, we can extract a particular type of data as well. Like if we want to choose some sample of receivable for circularization, we can select a sample using statistical sampling technique using the audit software. They will provide you sample of receivable. And for that sample of receivable, we can obtain detail from the system by using audit software. Even to prepare email for those receivables to confirm balance, audit software will help us to send email as well. Through audit software, we can perform analytical procedures, mean we can calculate ratios of current year with previous year, compare and highlight the differences either increasing or decreasing. In what functions we can perform through audit software? Interrogation of a file's extraction of specified data, mean we can extract any specified data from the system. Like we can find the list of those invoices who are above 500,000 so that we can check them in more detail. We can find out the list of those receivables who are overdue by more than 60 days so that we can confirm whether there are chances of bad debts or not. Performance of substantive testing, like we can trace different documents into the system through audit software. We can determine sample size, even we can choose a random sample using the software, especially of receivables for circularization. We can perform ICQ using the software, mean what are the controls in the system, whether there are controls of stock availability while receiving order, customer creditworthiness check while receiving orders are there or not. We can obtain a list of those controls through audit software, mean what are the controls in the system. Through software, we can perform analytical procedure like calculate ratios of current year and compare with previous year to highlight the differences. So what is audit software? These are programs that we run into the client system and they perform audit procedures like human beings because they are artificial programs, intelligence program. And this audit software we need to develop from any software house. Obviously, if we are developing this from software house, we need to bear the cost. And if we're going to conduct an audit of this client for so many coming years, we can bear this cost. And obviously, we will charge to the client. But one client audit software cannot be used in any other client because normally company system are different. If one client is using a Tally to audit a Tally, we need to develop a separate audit software. If one client is preparing accounts on Excel, how to conduct an audit of Excel files, we need to develop separate software. And client systems are different, so we need to develop audit software according to that system. What are the functions or features of audit software? Through this, we can extract a particular type of data. Through this, we can perform substantive procedure, mean we can trace different documents into the system. Through audit software, we can determine a sample, even we can choose a random sample. Through audit software, we can perform ICQ over the computerized system. Through audit software, we can perform analytical procedures like calculation of ratios and comparison of ratios of current with previous. Audit software. There are two main types of CATs: test data, audio software. There are some other types of CATs as well. What could be the other types? Integrated test facility. Integrated test facility. What is that? These are the extension of test pack, mean this is also used for test of control, in which we develop a dummy master file, and through dummy master file, we can check master file control. Mean integrated test facility is mainly used for checking a master file control. And this is not commonly used. Main two types are test data and audit software. There is another type of what we call it CATs, that is embedded software. What is embedded software? Audit software, we run ourselves into client system. Mean we give command to the software, okay, perform procedure, and they perform procedure in presence of ourselves. Embedded software is a software, is an audit software that we have embedded. Embedded mean attached to the client system. And they perform audit procedure in absence of the auditor. Mean as the client system is processing his transaction data, along with the processing, this embedded software is also performing audit procedure over the data as well. And it's storing results of audit procedure into a file that auditor, while visiting the client, can see the results. In audit software, we run into client system in our presence. While embedded software, we embed audit software with the client system, mean already installed into client system. And during live processing of data, they are performing audit procedure as well. Mean audit software is called dead testing. Audit software is called dead testing. Dead testing means they will not perform procedure during live processing of data. Mean we need to stop the processing of the client system and we perform audit procedure through audit software. While embedded software perform live testing. But for this, normally client hesitate to provide us permission because it might affect the performance of the client system. It might halt the performance of client system. So normally client do not allow us testing through embedded software. What is parallel simulation? What is simulation? Simulation means copy or model. What is parallel simulation? Just like a client accounting system, we develop an other accounting system of ourselves. If client is using a system, we develop an other copy of that system for ourselves. And what happens? The client transactions should be processed through client system as well as our copy model system as well. Mean transactions are performing through two systems, one client original system and one our copy model system. And at the end, what we are doing, we are comparing the results of both systems. If they are same, this means client controls of the system are accurate, were working effectively. And if results of our copy model and client original system are different, this means our copy model were under control of us, mean that password retained by us. This means the client system controls were not working effectively. Either there could be some unauthorized access or fraudulent activities. I mean, this is also used for test of control. How we can perform test of control? By reprocessing the client original transaction through his system and our copy model system. And by comparing the results of both systems, if they are same, client system controls are working effectively. If results of both systems are different, this means client system controls were not operating effectively because our system was in our control. Nobody were having access to our system. So through integrated test facility, we can check master file control. Through embedded software, we can perform live testing. And through parallel simulation, we can perform test of control by comparing the results of both systems. But two main types of CATs are test data and audit software. If examiner will ask, they will ask you about these things. It could be the advantages of CATs. Quick audit we can perform. Because software will check quickly. Even we can perform 100% checking. What else? Quality audit we can perform because there will be no human error. There will be no independence issues of the auditor. And cost. But there are some disadvantages. What will be the disadvantage? Costly. Initial planning time. Is it more costly than initial planning time because we need to develop the software first from software house. It will take a time and this will increase our planning time. It is costly as well because we need to develop software for ourselves. Might be we need to bear the cost by ourselves. Is it more costly than the salary? Could be because for the first year it could be costly, but for the coming year, then it will be less costly. What else could be the disadvantage? Specific to one organization cannot be used in other client. Staff training is required. How to use the software, we need to train our staff. There could be some problem like a restriction from client. Like if you run this software in my system, this will corrupt my system files. This will halt my system. This will low the performance of my system. This will contain memory space on my system. So there should be some restriction from client, especially for embedded software. What could be the other advantages? We can explain features of CATs like through test data, we can perform test of control. Through audit software, we can perform substantive procedure. Through audit software, we can extract a particular type of data. Through audit software, we can determine sample and choose random sample. Through audit software, we can perform analytical procedure. Those are also features of audit software as well as advantages of audit software. Is that fine? So we can write down different advantages of audit software or of CATs. I think this chapter is finished now. Yes. The audit has happily covered audit response. Yeah, we will cover some questions of audit risk again, along with procedures response. We will cover some questions because we have just covered how to identify audit risk. We haven't covered how to write the response because examiner asking audit risk with the response. And then sometimes they ask for report. The report we're gonna cover in next week. Audit report is another technical area that we will cover in next week. So effect of CIS on audit planning mean what could be the effect of a client computerized system on our audit planning? If client is using computerized system, there could be issue like our audit staff is not having knowledge skills about that software. Because if we are not having just knowledge about software, we cannot conduct audit. To conduct audit, you should have knowledge about the system first. Without having knowledge of system, you cannot conduct audit. Timing of the audit must be considered because to develop our audit software, it will require some time. So audit planning could be lengthy. Inherent risk will always be high if client is using computerized system, especially if they are using customized system. We spoke because their controls are always weak. If they are using customized, obviously control risk will also be high. Control risk will also be high due to unauthorized access to the system. Even detection risk will be high. Why? Might be we are not having appropriate audit software to conduct the audit. Might be our staff is not familiar with the system. If they are not familiar with the system, will not be able to perform computerized audit. So in CIS audit, inherent control detection risk will be always high. And there could be some issue. Might be system is not adopting audit trail. Audit trail means sequence of documents, sale order, then GDN, then sale invoice, then entry into the ledger. So might be system is not recording the audit trail. If audit trail is not there, we will not be able to verify transactions. And there will be need in view of volume of transaction process to rely on internal controls and develop and use CATs. Mean we need to apply CATs, and for CATs we need to develop the software that will require a cost. So these are the effect on auditing of CIS. Mean if client is using computer information system in IT system, what effect it will be having on our audit. So we need to make sure whether we are having a specialized, competent, skilled staff or not. Inherent risk should always be assessed as a high. Control risk will be assessed as a high. Detection risk will be assessed as a high. Why detection risk is a high? Might be system is not generating audit trail. And we need to make sure the development of software to perform CADs. So this chapter is completed. Let's discuss some more things. We have learned how to verify non-current assets. We have identified how to verify receivables, how to perform circularization of receivables, what is the procedures, why we should perform circulation of receivables. Let's discuss how to audit cash at bank. How to audit cash in hand, cash at bank, cash receipts, cash payments. Cash receipts, we have learned how to verify through sales system. Meanwhile, receiving cash, there should be 2% present. The cash receipt should be updated to cash book and ledger, and cash received should be promptly banked. Cash payment, even we have learned some procedures. There should be two signatories who authorize the payment. While making payment, you need to cross, cancel, check the supporting documents. And against payment, you need to update the cash book and payable ledgers. How to audit cash at bank? What is cash at bank? Asset, expense, income, or liability? Asset. Asset. Where it should be recorded under asset in balance sheet, current asset in balance sheet. This is balance sheet item, and for balance sheet item, we need to verify assertions, valuation, completeness, ownership, existence, and presentation and disclosures. Valuation, completeness, ownership, presentation, and disclosures. Cash at bank. How we can verify assertions. Cash at bank include Cash at bank include positive balance of our current saving or deposit accounts that should be recorded as a current asset in the balance sheet. And cash at bank also include overdraft mean negative balance that should be recorded as a liability. So we need to make sure being auditor whether all the positive balances are recorded as a current asset in the balance sheet and negative balances are recorded as overdraft mean current liabilities in the balance sheet. This should not be net off. This should not be net off. Negative balance of any account should be recorded as a liability overdraft. And positive balance should be recorded as cash at bank as asset in the balance sheet. And the main procedures to verify cash at bank, what could be the procedures? Check balance of all bank accounts brought forward from previous year working papers and previous year financial statement. Mean first we need to check the opening balances from previous year financial statements, previous year working papers. We need to review the cash book to see if there is any suspected entry in the cash book so that we can make investigation. We need to check arithmetic of cash book. And we need to perform analytical procedure, mean comparing current year balances with previous year. And if there is too much difference in cash at bank, we should investigate the difference, why there is a difference. If suppose in previous year, company were having a 500 cash at a bank, $500. In current year, companies are having a $500,000 balance. Is that suspicious or you will take it normal? Suspicious. Why companies are having that much balance? Might be company have overstated to show strong financial position. Because if in previous year 500 normally company keep this kind of balance, but now it's a 500,000, so might be it's a fictitious mean overstatement to highlight strong financial position. If suppose previous year company was having a 500,000 and normally company is having 500,000 balance, while in current year it's showing only 500. Even this is also suspicious. Why this is too low? This could be due to going concern issue. It might be companies are facing cash flow going concern issues. That's why company is having low cash at a bank. This means company will not survive properly. Companies are struggling in its managing its cash flow. And going concern is another issue that we will learn in next week. So what are the other procedures? The main procedures for cash at bank, we need to confirm the balance from a bank by sending a confirmation. We will send a letter to the bank and ask the balance at 31st December in company's bank account. If a bank have a set companies having this amount and company financial statements also showing this cash at bank, this means cash at bank is existed, is valued properly, and is accurate. So from where we can verify cash at bank? Through bank confirmation letter. Who will confirm from the bank? What is the balance of company in his bank account at 31st December? And that bank confirmation letter will prove the existence assertion, the valuation assertion, as well as ownership assertion. Just we need permission of the client. Obviously, we need client permission. Obviously, client will provide permission to his bank as well. then bank will reply us. If client doesn't provide permission to us, doesn't provide permission to bank, this means there is issue. If bank not replying us, we need to make sure client has provided permission to him. And normally bank requires some time to respond to you. Don't think we are just confirming and bank will reply you. No, they take 1 to 2 weeks. So when you need evidence of this, at least 2 weeks before that date time period, you need to send the request to the bank. So through this, we can verify assertion of valuation. We can verify assertion of rights and obligation and verify assertion of existence, not completeness. For completeness, we need to verify bank reconciliation. How we can verify bank reconciliation? We need to prepare bank reconciliation by comparing cash book with the passbook to identify any unpresented checks, uncredited checks, bank charges, dishonored checks. Follow up and obtain a reason for uncleared items appearing in the year-end reconciliation. Scrutinized post-year-end bank statement, next year bank statement to verify whether unpresented, uncredited have been cleared in a next year bank statement as well. Does the auditor re-perform the reconciliation or does he review the? He re-perform and then review client reconciliation as well. Both. Yeah. So for cash at bank, we need to send bank confirmation through bank confirmation letter. We can verify valuation, rights and obligation and existence assertion. And for completeness of cash at bank, we need to verify bank reconciliation by re-performance and applying some procedures on unpresented, uncredited, dishonored, and bank charges. And there are 4 types of differences in bank reconciliation mainly: unpresented checks, uncredited checks, VRS, unpresented checks, uncredited check, dishonored checks, and bank charges. What is unpresented checks? We made payment to any party through check, and they haven't presented the check to the bank till yet. They are still keeping the check in their pocket. This means these payments, while paying them through check, we have recorded in cash book. But if they haven't presented to the bank till yet, so this will not be there in passbook and bank statement. We will see if these have been presented to next month bank statement. We need to make sure whether they have been presented to next month bank statement. Obviously, these should be recorded in next month bank statement. What is uncredited checks? We received some money from our party through check, and while receiving, we entered cash receipt in the cash book. And we have deposited the check into the bank. But that money has not been credited, received into our bank account. Might be the check date is future. So we need to make sure they have been cleared in next month bank statement. If not cleared in next month bank statement, this means these receipts are wrong, overstated. What is dishonor check? We received a payment, we received a amount from any party through check, We recorded in cash book as a receipt. We deposited the check into the bank and bank have returned the check. So we need to make sure these receipts have been excluded, mean credited to the cash book. What are the bank charges? Bank silently, without informing us, has deducted some charges from our bank statement, bank account. So we need to make sure, being auditor, they have been credited to the cash book as well. For this unpresented checks, we will check through next month bank statement. For uncredited, we will check through next month bank statement. And dishonored, we need to make sure should be credited to cash book. And for bank charges, we need to make sure should be credited to cash book. What else we need to verify regarding bank reconciliation? We need to verify opening balances. From where we can verify opening balances? Previous financial statements. Like previous cash book and previous bank statement. We need to verify closing balances. How we can verify closing balances? Through bank statement or bank confirmation letter. So these could be the procedures for verifying bank reconciliation. Okay, what is the procedures for bank bank confirmation? Bank confirmation is a confirmation of balance from bank, and it is a reliable source of evidence because it is external. Directly we are confirming from the bank. What is the procedures? An ongoing standing authority. Ongoing standing authority mean any person from our client who is dealing with the bank should permit his bank to provide information to the auditor. Mean if any management person of our client is not permitting the bank to provide information to the auditor, this means we cannot perform this. So ongoing standing authority means client management should provide permission to the bank regarding responding to auditor request. And then auditor should send a confirmation using on notepad, mean we should send confirmation using our auditor note paper, our auditor email, so that reply should come directly to us rather than to the client. And we need to send this request by keeping in mind at least 2 weeks time period, because bankers are not waiting for you. They need some time to respond to you because they are having so many other their main responsibilities. What kind of confirmation we can obtain from bank? We can obtain information about titles of different bank accounts. What are the newly opened accounts? What are the closed accounts during the year? What are the restrictions over accounts? Mean either company have saved money for 5 years. This means for 5 years company cannot use that money. We can obtain confirmation about loans, overdrafts. We can obtain information about interest as well. We can obtain information what securities company have kept against loan leases. And we can obtain information about any set of arrangements, like if any account has been closed while setting with other accounts. And we can obtain relationship knowledge about company and its banker relationship. I mean, we can obtain any kind of information from bank regarding matters of company with bank. overdraft detail, loan releases detail, cash at bank information, newly opened accounts, closed accounts, accounts who has been transferred to other name, like might be company account has been transferred to director name because that account was having good credit worthiness. Might be directors have obtained a loan on based on that good credit rating. Why directors has transferred company account to his name? So there could be chances of frauds. Okay, let's discuss. What could be the controls over cash received through post? His company is receiving cash from customer. What could be the control? All the cash receipt through mail should be monitored properly. Cash received should be recorded into a daily cash receipt list by an independent person. What should be the control over cash sales at counter, especially in the store at the checkout counter where we are buying products and paying cash? What could be the control? There should be segregation of duty, mean 2% present. Only restricted employees having authorized to deal with cash. What is till role? The cash counter from where we are buying products from any store, that is called a till. Cash. Suppose we are going to buy grocery. How we buy grocery? We are paying for the grocery items at a counter. That counter is called a till. Whatever the item they are selling for the day, that is recorded into the system. The recording of that system is called a till roll. What company need to do? Company need to check what cash till roll means. System is showing what cash is in their cash box. They need to compare at the end of the day. So that if there is any difference, this means cash has been misused. So till roll should be used to record cash sales. And the till roll should be reconciled with the cash in hand by an independent person. These are the controls relating to cash received at counter through sale. That counter is called a till. And the recording of sale is called a till roll into the system. So an independent person should compare the actual cash in cash box, cash drawer with till roll means system detail and make sure they are same. If they are not same, this means the cash handling person is misusing the cash. What could be the controls over money that received to the bank? So all the money received should be promptly deposited into the bank. And we should compare the till roll results with the cash deposit into the bank so that we can make sure it should be same. If cash is not in hand, cash in hand is 100 while till roll showing 300. So where is other 200? 200 should be deposited into the bank so we can make sure to deposit slips whether 200 has been deposited into the bank or not. What should be the control over cash payments? While making payment, you need to check the supporting document between invoice and cross and cancel it so that it should not come for double payment. Mean that supporting document should be cancelled to avoid double payment. There should be two signatories who authorize the payments. And payment must be recorded immediately into cash book and ledgers. Must be updated immediately into cash book and ledgers. So what's cross check? Cross check mean third one or where? First one. First one. Cross check mean the if you are making payment to any party, that should be made through cross check. Cross check mean it should not be cash check. Cross check means this will go into that party account and then that party can use that money. If it is going into that party account, you will be having a proof through bank statement. Okay, I have deposited this money into your account. If it is a cash check, you will not be having proof that the party have received the money. They can deny we haven't received the money. So always payment should be made through cross check, not cash check. Cross check means putting name of the party and putting two cross lines. Mean this check against this check, you cannot take money from the bank. This check money will be deposited into your bank account, and then you can withdraw money from your bank account. You cannot ask the banker, okay, this is check, give me money. No. Is it fine? Mean cross check is not an open check or cash check. What could be the controls over cash in hand? Only authorized per employee having access to the cash in hand. And cash in hand should be kept in lock boxes at secure places so that nobody have access to the cash easily. What is the control over a bank balance? New bank account opening should be having established procedures in how a company can open new bank account with the company name. There should be approval from top management. There should be some authorized person who is dealing with the bank. Checkbook should be kept in a safe custody, and a check should not be pre-signed. Otherwise, anybody can steal the pre-signed check and make payment into their account. So check should be signed while making the payment, and there should be two signatures. Bank reconciliation must be performed on regular basis so that you can compare cash book with bank statement. If there is any difference, you can highlight. And in an IT system, there must be physical control over devices used to prepare check. Means sometimes company print checks from the system through printer. So that printer, that system must be having access controls as well. Control over cash in hand. Only authorized person having access to cash in hand, and cash in hand must be kept in a box, locked box, so that it should not be misused by any other person. Control over cash at bank. The new account opening should be having some procedures. There should be authorized responsible person who is dealing with bank. Check book should be kept in safe place. Shouldn't be pre-signed check. For cash at bank, you need to reconcile cash book with bank statement on monthly basis to identify the differences. And there should be strict controls over the system if company is producing checks, printing checks through system. What is petty cash? Small amount. The small amount that accountant keep for day-to-day expenses. This is a small amount from company point of view, but it could be a significant amount from petty cash color. That's why there should be some control over petty cash as well. The limit of petty cash should be defined by the company management, and above that limit, no petty cash should be with the clerk. Who is authorized to manage petty cash? Only that person should have access to petty cash. And any money is used from petty cash should be evidence against a voucher, mean bills should be there for any expenses. And receipt should be provided. Cash spending and attached to the petty cash voucher mean if you have a set up petty cash float of 1,000 and there are expenditure of 750 for the month, how much cash clerk should receive at the start of month? Remaining 250. And petty cash expenses should be periodically recorded in a general ledger. In limit should be set. There should be vouchers of spending. There should be regular checking, monitoring of petty cash balance, and should be recorded into ledger on regular basis, like monthly basis, what expenses you have made through petty cash for the month. Inventories we have discussed. Can we do a question about the bank? The bank systems. With what you just did, bank and cash system. Banking cash system. Any questions? We'll see in the practice while practicing a question from kit. If there is any part of any question, we will see. Haven't found any separate question on that. So how we can verify liabilities? From liabilities area, we have just discussed about payables. How to verify long-term liabilities we haven't covered yet. How to verify capital, share capital we haven't covered. How to verify reserve we haven't covered. And we know liabilities are of two types, long-term liabilities and short-term liabilities. Long-term liabilities that need to be settled in more than 12 months, short-term that need to be settled within 12 months. What are the examples of long-term liabilities? Bank loan, leases, debenture, long-term provisions. What are the short-term liabilities? Payables, overdraft, accruals, short-term provisions. And we have discussed only how to verify payables. How to verify long-term liabilities that we need to learn. Probably we will cover in next class. Or we can discuss now. Just discuss how to verify long-term liabilities. It is a balance sheet item. And for balance sheet, we need to verify assertions about valuation, completeness, for liabilities, obligation to pay, and existence. How we can verify whether long-term liabilities exist or not? Obtain or prepare a list of non-current liabilities. We need to prepare a list of non-current liabilities. If the list is obtained from the client entity, check it for accuracy and obtain that confirmation from lenders. Loans, leases, we need to confirm from the bank lenders whether these liabilities exist actually or not. Either they exist according to this amount or might be they exist above that amount. We're gonna discuss later. Okay. For obligation to pay, we should inspect lease loan agreement. We need to check whether there is any restriction on those agreements. And we need to make sure company is complying with all the requirements relating to those agreements. Like your gearing ratio should be below this. Otherwise, you need to pay this loan lease to the lender. If the company is not complying, this means company need to pay back. So we need to make sure company is complying with all the requirements of the agreement. But mainly we need to inspect loan or lease agreement for ownership. Completeness means liabilities are completely recorded. We need to inquire management for any arrangement during the year. What are the new leases, loans during the year? We need to make sure through cash large payments whether company is paying the liabilities. If paying the liabilities, we need to make sure liability has been recorded in the balance sheet as well. Review payments for interest expense. If company is paying interest, we need to make sure liability is completely recorded in the balance sheet. And review cash book, especially cash payment entries. Unusual, not cash receipt, cash payment entries. If there are payments after year end, we need to make sure liability was there at a balance sheet, mean at year end. Because if there is a payment but there was not liability in financial statement, this means liabilities were not completely recorded. So mainly this procedure will ensure completeness. In review of post year end cash payments to verify liabilities have been recorded at the year end. For valuation, what we need to do, we need to review the long-term liability schedule. Completeness, second point. Can you explain? Examine large payments for possible debt transactions. Mean through cash book, we will see what are the large payments and we will see financial statements whether liability has been recorded there or not. It might be liability company have shown 100,000 while company have made a payment of 150,000. This means liability was not completely recorded. For valuation, we need to review the schedule of long-term liabilities. We need to check the interest calculation because through interest amount, even we can calculate the liability. Suppose company have paid 10,000 interest at the rate of 10%. What could be the liability? 100,000. So through interest amount, we can also check the valuation of liability. Agree opening balances with the previous year financial statements, mean checking opening balance. And we need to confirm the liability from the bank as well, the lender as well. We need to check the classification of liabilities. Those liabilities that need to be settled within a year should be recorded as current, and those that need to be settled more than 1 year should be recorded as long term. And all the liabilities detail, including a time period, including interest, should be disclosed in the financial statement properly. The amount, the time period, and the interest rate should be disclosed separately in the financial statement. I mean, there should be a disclosure in notes of the accounts about the long-term liabilities, amount, timing, as well as interest rate. Just read this and try to identify at least one main procedure for each session. So that if examiner asks for 5 marks, write down substantive procedure to verify long-term liabilities, we can write few lines. Obtain a schedule and review it. Confirm from bank. Calculate lease liability from interest payments. Inspection of post year and cash payments to verify liability was completely recorded. And we need to make sure liabilities that need to be settled within a year should be classified as current. That need to be settled more than 1 year should be classified as long term. And detailed disclosure about the long-term liabilities amount, time, and interest should be disclosed. What are the other account balance procedures we will discuss in next class? And we will discuss some questions and we will move on. That's it for today. The main topic today we have discussed about IT controls, CATs, how to verify cash at a bank, We have discussed some procedure leading to cash receipts, cash payments, petty cash, as well as long-term liabilities. See you next class.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.